Hey guys, my name is Lauren. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. If you've been watching or following along, you know it's been quite a while since I've posted. So I've been meaning to post kind of a training update, a recap of my recent races, kind of get you guys back up to speed, and then talk about what my training plans are for the summer, and what some of the other videos are that I want to make coming up. So most of you probably found my channel when I was training for Boston, which was April of this year. I had a really good qualifying race, but unfortunately not a great race at Boston, although good enough to requalify for next year by about 15 minutes if I decide to go back. But my training cycle for Boston didn't go well. I didn't feel good. I think a lot of it was work stress, life stress, school, personal life, all of that kind of coming together at the same time as a rigorous marathon training plan made it really hard to reach the pretty ambitious goal I had set for myself. So kind of since April, I've taken running back a couple notches. I haven't been training as rigorously. I've still been running regularly and I've still done some races. So I wanted to give you guys an update on that. I've also been having a ridiculous amount of audio and video quality with the camera that I've been using for these videos. So I have recorded, a lot of footage over the last few weeks. I lost most of it because of either bad image quality or bad audio quality, but I did salvage a little bit of footage from my most recent race. So I will be showing that kind of a race recap after this video. But I wanted to give you a little bit of background on the rest of the races I've done too. So since April, Boston was mid-April or so, I did do a 10K trail race in mid-May, so about a month after Boston. It wasn't a huge trail race. It was up in Big Bear, if you know, that's like a ski area in California. Snowy, cold, wet, miserable, but I was able to finish second overall female in that race. That one was interesting. They did reroute the course that morning because of a snowstorm higher up the mountain, so it was a little bit chaotic, but it was still kind of a good, getting my foot back, dipping my toes back in the water of racing. So I didn't feel great. I didn't feel that fast, but with trail races you don't always have to be fast. You just have to kind of keep moving forward at a pretty good pace, and you'll end up, in a pretty good spot. And then June 1st actually was the Reno-Tahoe Odyssey Relay. So I was on a team of 12 women running this 178-mile course around Reno and Lake Tahoe. Our team did win and set the new women's course record, which was our goal going out. We put together a fast team and we had a good race. So I have a lot of photos from that race. I wanted to do a race recap for that entire thing. But never quite finished it, and that's because at the end of June I finally finished my dissertation. So I am officially Dr. Lauren Curley. It took me 7 years, a lot of stress, a lot of work over these last 6 months, writing, preparing my talk, working with my professors, finishing my analyses. My final document's over 200 pages, so it's kind of like writing a book about, all the original science you've done over the last, 5 to 8 years of your life. So that's part of the reason a lot of my training took a back seat, was I finally finished my dissertation. That was at the end of June. And then, I went home to visit family early July. I did a little local 5K, which was super fun. I actually was the first overall male or female finisher there because the only guy in front of me got lost. So the advice there is know the course. It doesn't matter if you're faster if you don't make it to the finish line first. So that was a super slow 5K. It was swampy, muddy. There was 2 river crossings. So it was a really, really slow 5K. But it was fun. It was, a legit cross-country 5K. And then this past weekend, I did another trail 10K, this time in Fort Carson, Colorado. So Luis and I went out to visit my friend Jess, who's also an incredibly fast runner, who's kind of, I would say she's done coming back from having a baby. I think she's done a couple races so far, but this last one, she did the 21K trail race. I did the 10K trail race. She considered this kind of her big first race back. and she totally killed it. She walked away first female. She's always been super fast, and she's always been super fit. So I do have some footage from that race recap. Luis also raced. He did the 21K. So I was first female in the 10K, Jess was first female in the 21K, and Luis was second male in the 21K behind a pro Hoka runner. So I do have a little bit of footage from our race recap there. That was a pretty gnarly race. And then I have a little bit more footage I was able to save. So this video is really just going to be kind of a training update, race recap, where I'm at now, what I'm planning to do next. The one other piece of news I have is I was on a podcast called Run to the Top on July 10th with Stephanie K. Atwood. So that was mostly about my first marathon, going out sub 3 for my first marathon, and then training for Boston, and having, I guess subpar Boston is the right term given, you know, my goals and my performance at my qualifier. A lot of people would say it was still a great race, it was still a good time, it was still a qualifying time, but it's relative, right? It's all relative. So we talked a little bit about why Boston didn't go as well as I wanted it to, and kind of what I'm focusing on now, which is mostly trails. So my running had started to kind of recover the last few weeks. Really, when I finished my dissertation, I think it was stress, and it was having way more of an impact than I realized, and I was under way more stress than I realized, and I didn't realize how much it was impacting my sleep, my quality of life, my appetite, my running, everything. So I had started feeling better. You'll see in the race recap footage from last weekend, though, that I did fall during this trail race, and it was pretty bad. So this week I've kind of regressed a little bit and had to take a few days off. My form's a little bit weird from the fall. You know, when you fall, you tense up, all your muscles tighten up, and you hit the ground with a lot of force, and that impact can kind of throw things out of whack. So this past week I've been feeling a little bit off, a little bit stiff. My form's been bad, my leg turnover's been bad. I've just been really tired and heavy. So I kind of need to do a little bit of rehab again. I need to work on form drills, strength, stretching, trying to do some more yoga, more flexibility, do some more strides after my runs, maybe try a workout this week, see how it goes. But I would say my two bigger races coming up is early September. There's a trail race in Utah that I want to go to. It's part of the Cirque series. It's, I believe, 8 or 9 miles. It's not like an exact standard race distance, but it's an interesting series because they have 3 categories to sign up in. So they have pro, they have like experienced or some kind of middle category, and then they have the open or kind of casual category. And they offer different prizes for top 3 in each category. So pro runners, you know, can compete for money. The kind of experienced middle ground competes for like a higher amount in gear, like a few $100s worth of gear, and then the open competes for a smaller amount of gear, like maybe $100 worth of gear. So it's kind of an interesting series because they cap entry at 500 runners. So your odds of winning something go up since they have these different categories they give prizes in. I'm also planning a 50K in October. It's the same 50K I did last year. It's a gnarly course. It's probably the hardest mental race I've ever had. I swore I would never go back. This race is in Mexico, so I'm probably going to go back to that race. So I think that's kind of a good recap of where I've been, where I'm going, why I dropped off the face of the earth for like a month or two, and kind of a recap of what I've been doing since Boston. It's been all trail races, which are what make me happy, and it's nothing super long. I've been choosing, you know, 5K and 10Ks instead of half marathon distances just because I'm not mentally prepared or trained for that long of a race. And if you follow me on Instagram, I post slightly more regularly about my training, my races, and what I'm up to. Also, if you've been watching this channel for a while, I want to ask, I've been thinking about changing my Instagram handle. It's actually based off what my nephew called me when he was learning to talk. So if you don't know, my Instagram is Lala B Running. So that Lala stands for Lauren. That's what my nephew called me when he was learning to talk, and he couldn't say Lauren. And when I went home to visit, you know, I would go running. So Lala B Running. So that's kind of where my Instagram handle came from. But I was thinking about changing it to something a little bit more descriptive about kind of where I'm at now, what I usually focus on in my posts and my videos and things like that. So if you have any ideas for a cool new Instagram handle that has to do with obviously running, maybe trail running, racing. So I've come up with a few possible like new Instagram handles, but I'm not like in love with any of them. So comment down below if you have any suggestions for a new Instagram handle for me that you think would be a good description of what I normally talk about and what my channel's about and the kind of things I normally post about on Instagram. So we're heading back from the Fort Carson Spartan trail races. So it went pretty well, although it was dry, hot, and very bushwhacky through the cactuses and through the tall grass. I did wipe out at like mile 5 and get a nice bloody knee that I had the medics wash out for me, but what do you do? Oh yeah, it's all wrapped up. I was first female on the 10K. I don't know what I was overall. I thought they said I might have been top 3 because it was such a hard day. There was like a lot of hiking. It was really just kind of survival. Jess back there though got first in the 21K. And Luis is manning the camera. He got second in the men's 21K. So it was a pretty good day. Like, I mean, not like a fun day, but like we did pretty well. So we have like an hour and a half drive back to where we're staying at Jess's place. And then really we just have to like shower, pack up, and then head back to Denver for the flight out because, you know, now that I graduated and have a real job, I have to go to work tomorrow.
This was my first comeback race in Spartan. I wanted to kind of channel that inner Spartan in me, and I forgot how technical the courses can be. It hasn't been like anything I've run here before. I forgot about. No, like I'm pretty sure I walked more than I ran.
Still running a time.
But when I ran, I tried to run hard. Even through the tall grass. The grass at some points were probably waist high. You know, it was just like high knees the whole time. Also on the lookout for rattlesnakes because the starting guy really scared me. He said, beware for rattlesnakes. Don't wear any of your earbuds or anything because there's definitely going to be some rattlesnakes out there.
Now, didn't you see some rattle?
I did. I did see some remnants of one. There was the skin that was going through the hole, so you know that the rattlesnake was going into the hole and it shed its skin. And so we ran right past it. So,
okay.
wow, that
At least there weren't any mountain lions.
Yeah, no, they're smart. They wouldn't be out in this heat that we were in.
What was it, like 80s?
No one. There were zero. I didn't see any bugs. I really didn't see anything. It was so hot. Everyone else was in the cool except for us fools that were running as hard as we can in, you know, midday heat.
By water stations?
Yeah, by water stations. Oh my God.
There were not
5.
enough water.
There was only 5 water stations, not enough. There weren't enough people on the course either to direct.
Right.
I felt like it was a little complicated in some spots.
Well, because it overlapped with like 3 different races, so you had to make sure you were following the right course and the right colored arrows and the right like colored tape.
Right. And there were some spots where you just were going and there wasn't a trail and you're just kind of looking around for a little red piece of tape. You're like, this is where I'm supposed to go, I think. And you head towards that direction and then you kind of look around. Where's the other one? And then you head into that direction. Overall, it was fun because I haven't done a Spartan in a while.
Good learning.
Yeah.
Good learning experience. It's good training. It's really hard conditions.
Yeah. So my next race is going to be easy.
Compared to this, right?
Mm-hmm.
How was your race, Luis?
Yeah.
Race recap for me.
First of all, I need to tell you that Luis crushed it because he was the only one who ran on Saturday.
Oh yeah.
I raced yesterday for a Spartan. I got
the obstacle course race.
Obstacle course racing.
Like 8
I ended up
miles.
getting 8th place. Definitely died after mile 7. The last mile and a half, just try to survive and finish. So there's probably 4 other guys in front of me within 20-30 seconds. I gave up. By then I was just like, I just finished, I'm done, I'm tired. Altitude got to me, the heat got to me, so you know, just came back. And for the 21K, and you know, I knew it was gonna be tough. It's just I didn't think it was gonna be this tough. I know there's this other guy from the Spartan Pro team behind me the whole time chasing me, and Joe, the guy who won from Hoka team, he was in the front. He probably had like 20 minutes on me the whole time, and there's not a lot of water stations. I think that was the key thing.
Well, you didn't have anything to take.
And I didn't bring it. I wasn't prepared. It was just, that was a mistake. I knew, I was like, oh, I'm gonna bring my pack, but I totally forgot about it in the morning before we left to the airport. So lesson learned. I took one goo that SIS that Jess gave me, and it was just dry mouth. It was really hard. So I took as many water. I stopped every water station to drink some water. But the course was, I did get off course a couple of times where I had to do U-turns and get back into it, you know. So that took a little extra, probably like half a mile, maybe a quarter mile. Realized, you know, certain turns, but definitely by the time I was getting the last hill towards the finish, I was crawling and going through the cactuses.
Yeah.
It was pretty steep, and my hands were full of cactuses, thorns and needles, and it was bad. And so when I finished, I was just passing out, laid down, and
well, you were super dehydrated.
Super dehydrated. Yeah, I couldn't. I went straight to the medical tent after that. Lauren came and get me.
Tried to carry him over there.
I was, you know, moving left to right like if I was drunk. And then I got an IV. So
you didn't even remember taking your shoes off.
Yeah, I don't remember taking my shoes off.
Like as soon as you finished, you must have taken them off because they were already off by the time I saw you.
Yeah.
So you walked over in your socks through the thorns.
I do remember like the last part of the race, my feet were really hot and I had a huge blister.
Yeah.
On the bottom of my foot. So that was my race recap.
You got a little IV and then you perked right up. So.
Yep. That's the first time I actually got an IV and dehydrated and felt the worst I ever felt.
We hydrated pretty well this morning, but you were probably dehydrated from yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, I did cramp yesterday, so.
Yeah.
I do remember many times I looked at my watch and said, oh, 3 miles. And then I looked back 15 minutes later, it's like 3.1 miles. What's happening?
How come time's going so slow, right?
Good times.
Good times.
Hey guys, it's the day after the trail race, and it's after work now on Monday. I'm going for a walk today on an unscheduled rest day because my knee is pretty gross. I was limping around the rest of the day. Sunday, my knee was kind of swollen and stiff, and the cut was a little bit worse than I thought it was. Turns out you can really only get stitches in the first like 8 to 12 hours or so. I'm not even sure it's bad enough to need stitches, but it's not pretty. So I've been keeping it covered, but it's still kind of like oozing through bandages and stuff. So I originally wasn't going to take today off because I don't feel super tired from taking 2 days off last week. And even after the race, my total mileage was only 35 for last week, which for me is really low. And I didn't run, you know, that hard on Sunday because, again, it's a trail race. It's not super fast. And I felt pretty good today. So I was going to run, but my knee's a little bit too jacked up still. I want to give it a little bit of time to calm down. And I have a little bit of residual soreness from, I think, the fall itself. So a lot of times when you fall, when you're running especially, you hit the ground with a pretty high impact, and it can be kind of a shock to your body. So I have a little bit of soreness in my hip and a little bit of tightness in my hamstring. Again, I probably shouldn't push it. Like, my legs feel pretty good, don't feel too tired. But given like some of the aches and pains and the general grossness of my knee, gonna just walk today. Hopefully I'll feel better tomorrow and maybe I can run easy. I'm gonna meet a friend to run Wednesday at least, so hopefully I can at least do an easy jog tomorrow. I did get a useful tip about keeping an eye out for infection of your knee or whatever you cut after you fall on a run. So one of the doctors I work with said take a Sharpie, draw an outline around the red part, and basically if the redness extends about half an inch, you know, up to half an inch outside that Sharpie line, then you need an antibiotic and it's infected. So I took a Sharpie to my knee, so I'm just gonna keep an eye on it, see if it gets too red, and then I might need an antibiotic. But, you know, honestly, I've fallen at least, you know, a couple times a year, not super often, but not like that rarely either. So I already have a lot of scars on my left knee. When I fall, I tend to fall on the same side. I guess my left side's just my weak side. I don't pick that foot up as much. So I already have a bunch of scars on my left knee. This will probably just be the biggest one. So I'll keep an eye on that. Like I said, kind of my next big race is a trail race in early September and then a 50K in October. I might do a couple races in August, but I probably won't do any more races in July. So I was gonna focus on getting back into a training routine and getting back to regular workouts, because after kind of my low volume like rest period while I was finishing my degree, I didn't really do a lot of workouts. I was still running easy and I was doing pretty low volume, like 30 to 50 miles a week, usually around like 40-45. But I started workouts again just a couple weeks ago. I didn't do any last week though, since I was feeling just kind of tired and kind of sore. So I did, the 10K yesterday and then a 5K the weekend before that. So I haven't actually done a workout in almost 2 weeks already, if you don't count the races, which I kind of count races as workouts, obviously. But I haven't done like a workout in like a couple weeks. And before that, it had been like a couple months. So I just want to get back into a regular workout routine. Probably 2 times a week seems to work well for me. So trying to do a workout on usually Tuesday or Wednesday, and then doing a workout at the end of the week, like Friday or Saturday, and then a longer run on Sunday is kind of a schedule that I like to stick to. It works well for my work schedule, and it works well for the kind of training load that I can handle, like that I feel pretty good with, and I get enough rest. Got a regular 9-to-5 desk job now, so not my ideal life, but I'm gonna have to make it work. I'm gonna have to come up with a training schedule that I can stick to. So I'll let you guys know how it goes. Wow, this tiny incline is really making me out of breath. I think that's it for this kind of update. Let me know if there's any other type of video or anything specific you want to see in the comments down below. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed hearing this update.
So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.